Welcome to Edge Radio and the Tony Talks show. We have an exciting guest today. I'm very, very happy. Two of my good friends, Ryan Jaime and Jeremy Odell. And guys, today we're going to be talking about renewable energy. It is time for us, and you guys know I'm a very strong speaker here and I have very strong opinions, but at the end of the day, it's time for us to really start protecting our environment. It's time for us to start actually owning our own energy and getting off the grid. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and what that means. What does getting off the grid mean? What does it mean to adopt renewable energy, not only in your home, but also commercially? So we want to be here to give you all the information that we possibly can. We're educators. Not only that, we're educating you on renewable energy, how to get involved with renewable energy, because we do know a lot of you folks out there have a lot of questions about this, and you're getting a lot of information coming from all different directions, and we want to make sure that we're laying a good foundation of truth for you. So that way you fully understand and you can make an educated decision what's right for you and your home. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to accomplish. Right, Ryan?
Absolutely.
We're trying to get people to understand that renewable energy is coming. It's coming. Yep. It's like there is no choice. The old dirty energy is going out, guys. And we want to talk about the benefit of that. Now, Jeremy will never toot his own horn, but I'm going to do it for him. Jeremy is a master in this solar space. He's probably done anywhere between 700 to 750 installations or more.
Somewhere in that range.
Jeremy, how long have you been doing this? First of all, if you would, just tell us a little bit about yourself so people will know who you are and why you got into this industry. Why did you make that shift?
So it's funny, I kind of made it for selfish reasons. I've been in direct sales for almost 17 years. It's really the only job I've ever known. And I had a buddy of mine, I was working in the alarm industry, had a buddy of mine that moved back home to New Jersey, got into solar, and really honestly started showing me how he was helping people and also the money that could be made. So I was like, heck yeah, I went in on that.
Absolutely.
And then it was for selfish reasons at first, get in, make more money. Everyone wants to progress in their career. But as time went on, it wasn't just about the money. Like, I'm actually making a big impact. And when we talk about like, hey, personally, I've installed several hundred accounts, but then how many megawatts of clean energy I've put back onto the grid, you start getting like away from yourself, and you can realize like the impact I'm literally actually making an impact with how much I've done over the last few years to help the environment, to clean up our energy, and it leaves a better place for our kids and for our future. So really, like, as time has gone on, I've evolved as to why I do this.
Yes.
And now it's more looking towards like, hey, what can I do to really expand this beyond myself, and what can I do to help other people have the same experience I have, and we can really make a big impact on the environment. Everyone always thinks like, oh, I'm one person, what are we going to do on a global scale? But right. If you do your part literally every single day, and you can
Jeremy, say that one more time. You know who I am. Say that. If everybody would just do their part, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
And they just do that every single day. And if you want to make a goal of like, hey, I want to help one more person, or like I want to, help someone else be able to do what I do, it's a compounding effect. At first, it starts off very small. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. You don't realize this tiny little snowball that you're going to push down this hill, it starts off the size of, a golf ball. By the time it gets to the bottom of the hill, we're talking something the size of a basketball or bigger. So it really does start moving and rolling. And if we each take and do our little part, it really is going to make a big impact,
Absolutely. What I'd like to do at this moment is we've been out in the Houston community knocking doors.
Yep. And
trying to educate customers and educate the Houston community about the benefits of renewable energy. And I have found the more people I talk to, the more people just don't understand how that power is getting to their house.
Yeah.
They just don't understand the chain of events that happen to get them to their home.
Sure. And
I do know that most folks, and again, no judgment here, guys. Most of us, what we do is we get our electric bill, and if we don't get sticker shock, we pay it.
No,
if we get sticker shock, we still pay it.
Yeah.
But we don't look deeper and say, hey, where are all these little fees coming from? What's happening here? Why is my bill going up every single month? So let's help our customers and help these folks out here listening to us today. Let's help them understand, first of all, how does energy get to the home, Jeremy? How does that all work?
Yeah. So Houston's interesting because you have so many third parties. So all power, doesn't matter who you get it from, created at a power plant. And you got a lot of these third parties that'll go into this power plant and be like, hey, we'll buy so much power at this rate. And that's what they give it to our customers. So, but it still has to be generated. It's either going to get generated from coal, natural gas, or nuclear power. Problem with all those is there's going to be a byproduct from those. They're going to emit greenhouse gases, or with nuclear power we have to store like radioactive material,
which is dangerous for the environment.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we see what happened at Chernobyl.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, the Fukushima plant with that.
Yeah, when they say, when I heard that nuclear power was part of renewable energy, I was like, how is that renewable? I mean, that's dangerous on all levels.
Yeah. So anyway, but we have to create power somehow. It doesn't matter what way it is. Whether it's renewable or unrenewable.
Right, absolutely.
So then it goes through giant transmission lines from that power plant out. This is a really simplified version. Some people listening may have a better understanding of this, but this is really simplified. Big transmission lines like that you see, the power poles for those are hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, big steel structures. It's going to derate down into substations that you see in your neighborhoods. They basically look like giant spark plugs.
And we've all seen those big sparks plugs with the fence around it. That's a substation.
That's a substation.
Okay.
Yep, it recollects power and distributes it back to
Before I got into this space with you guys, I actually used to drive past those things and wonder what they were. I was like, what is going on in there?
Yeah. Think of the easiest way to think of them like an alternator in your car. So power's got to stop and collect more charge before it can move on.
Okay.
And then it goes into the transformers and power lines that are in your neighborhood, and then into the meter, into your home. So that's how power goes from power plant, transmission, substation, transformers to your house. That's the simple version.
The daisy chain of events, right?
Yep.
Now each step, each process costs the customer money.
It does.
Right. So when they're looking at their bill, how can they look at what fee is that under? Is that under what is that? That's the delivery charge, right?
Delivery or distribution charge is just going to be how it's labeled on that bill. So your utility bill is going to break down into a couple parts. You're going to have a service charge or a customer charge. That's just for having the meter connected to the house. Everyone's going to have that. You're going to have an energy charge. How much does it cost to create power at a power plant? You're going to have a distribution charge, which is how much does it cost to get the power from the power plant to your house.
Right. And
then you're going to have taxes. So those are the 4 parts to break down. Some bills really lay it out, and like every time it switches hands, it's gonna label it depending on who your provider is. And some are just going to say, hey, it exists. Here's the total.
Now, each one of those fees, aren't those variable expenses, which means that they can shift and they're not fixed fees that will be the same every single month. You'll see those things go up and down, won't you?
Correct. So with third parties, like everyone signs, especially in Texas, you're signing a contract for the generation charge or the energy charge, like the creation of power, and that's a locked fixed rate because you signed a contract for that. Where they make up the difference is the variable fees and distribution, getting the power to the house. Anytime there's any kind of maintenance that needs to be done to the grid, there's a lot of new communities going up in Houston. Anytime they have to expand the grid into a new area, the power company is not just taking it on the chin and like out of the goodness of their heart, doing all this work. They're going to increase the rates to help compensate for that extra spend they have, either expanding the grid or fixing damage to the grid. Every time a drunk driver hits a telephone pole and then power goes out, they've got to fix it. They increase the rates. The hurricane that just missed us. If like in Louisiana right now, power utility rates are going up.
Oh, absolutely.
To fix the grid.
Yes, sir.
That they have to get that money from somewhere.
Right. And they always extend it out to the customer. The consumer.
Always down to the customer.
Always down the line.
Yep.
And that's what we need you guys to know is that I'm just going to tell it the way it is, because that's what we do here on Tony Talks. Is that you're a hostage to this thing. You're a hostage to this whole situation. Yep. And let me tell you why. Is because they know we need power. We all need power. I know when my power goes out of my house, I can't stand it. I mean, the internet's out, the TVs are out. We can't do anything. We're sitting in the house in the dark, or we light candles and we wait for the power to come on. Solar will provide an opportunity to get off the grid and own your own power, correct?
Correct.
And I know a lot of people are asking, we're seeing a lot of solar going up in Houston. I think it's going to continue to do that.
Yep.
It's going to get better from here. But a lot of folks have asked me when I knock their doors and I talk with them, is it going to increase the value of my home, Ryan? Does it increase the value of the home? And how does that work?
Yeah, one of the things that I would like to focus on as well is when you mentioned about people going solar, doesn't it seem like the utility bill is the one bill that seems to get excused over and over?
Absolutely.
When it comes to the mortgage, we all have an expectation of what we pay for a mortgage every month.
Yes.
We have an expectation of what our car payment is. We know what our cell phone bill is. But for some reason, and I'll be the first to admit, I think the reason why we excuse our utility bill is, well, let me speak for myself. I don't know what KWH means.
Exactly.
What is a kilowatt?
I didn't know either.
Like when we look at gasoline, we all understand what a gallon of gas equals.
Right.
But Tony, I have to admit something to you, and I hope I'm not the only one in the audience that feels this way. I didn't know what a kilowatt was.
Right.
So I think the very first thing that I needed to do was sit down with Jeremy and say, hey, Jeremy, hat off, badge off, like, hey, what's a kilowatt?
Yeah.
So that's the very first thing, is to help people understand, what is a kilowatt? How does that affect how they pay for the power? The value of the home obviously is going to change according, if you have an electric bill and you know that you're going to pay that for the rest of your life.
Right.
That is, you plan on renting your electricity for eternity.
Right.
We own our homes. We own our vehicles. Unless you're leasing, for the most part, people want to come to an end of a payment.
Absolutely. And enter into ownership. Because that's when you enter into ownership, that's when you actually start to save money. You can save money along the way as well, but yeah. I agree with you 100%.
I have some level of frustration with my inability to help homeowners understand that they don't want to continue to pay that bill. This is such a foreign concept to people.
Oh, absolutely.
The concept that they could actually come to the end of paying the electricity.
Yes, and own their own power. Yeah, exactly. And that's critically important. And when we come back, guys, we're going to talk about something which is called ROI. I know a lot of you may know what that means, but for those of you that don't, we want to clarify what that means. That is a return on your investment. And I'm telling you right now, if you're still dealing with dirty energy, with the old way of doing things, you will never get an ROI. You're never going to own that energy. You're never going to get off the grid that way. Matter of fact, every year your energy bill is going to go up, and you're kind of out of control of that unless you look at some other renewable energy alternatives. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a big windmill in my backyard.
For sure.
So, for residents, I believe solar is really the solution for them, to be honest with you. I really think that's the solution. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be back and we'll discuss renewable energy a little bit more and how you can get involved and how you can save money and have a predictable bill and own your own power. It's time to get off the grid and own our own power, guys. Thank you so much for being here at Tony Talks. We'll be back in a few seconds.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com. or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing findhealthbenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to the Tony Talk Show. We got my good friend here, Ryan Jaime, and we've got my good friend Jeremy Odell. These guys, I consider them experts in the solar space, experts in the renewable energy space. So we're here to answer questions and to bring you a little bit closer to your understanding of what's getting ready to happen. Renewable energy is here, and it's here to stay. I will tell you guys a little bit why I got involved. I get involved with things because I have to have passion for it. So when I was approached about the solar industry May 1st of this year through a business friend of mine, I looked at the whole situation. And of course, my philosophy has always been this. The sun has been here before we got here. It's going to be here when we leave. It's been fueling everything on the planet. I mean, it fuels everything from humanity to the grass that grows in your yard to just think about it. How do you feel when you're not in the sun for a while? What happens? You lose your energy. You start to move into a level of depression. So it's very important that we are exposed to the sun. But not only that, I want you to think for a second. Think about the energy that you're currently involved in. Let's think about that just for a second, especially here in Houston. I've been here in Houston since 2016, and one thing I've learned about Houston is that here's the temperature here. We get hot, hotter, and hottest. It's just hot here in Houston, and there's a lot of sun, and there's a lot of sun on your roof, and you're not capturing that energy at all. That's free energy coming to you from the sun, from our Creator, and you're not capturing that energy at all. You're using dirty energy that's costing you money, that is going to increase every single year, guaranteed. We just talked about all the fees that you are exposed to in the generation of that energy and that energy being delivered to your home. So we want to talk a little bit more about that and answer your questions. And I'm very happy that Jeremy and Ryan are here today. So let's pick up where we left off about ROI. How does that work? What is the return on the investment, Jeremy? If I decided to get solar on my home, I've got about right now we're leasing, of course, so we can't do solar because we don't own the home. So that's one of the qualifications. You have to own your home, correct?
You have to own your home. Yep.
You have to own your home. That's one of the qualifications. If you do own your home, guys, good news. You actually qualify for all the benefits that are out there, correct?
Correct.
So the ROI, let's talk to that a little bit.
Yeah. So that's a very short, long question. So, all right. So, like, there's a couple of things that factor into returning on the, like, so we have to figure out, like, hey, what's the best, like, section of your roof? Where are we going to get the best amount of production from the system? Because that's going to affect the output.
How do we make those decisions?
So we have a design tool that we use, and we're looking at, so the roof planes either face north, south, east, or west, or some kind of combination of that. So we're looking at, ideally, we're in the northern hemisphere. The southern side of your home, whether that's from east, southeast, south, southwest, west, that entire those roof planes are going to get the most amount of sun. So that's where they're going to be the hottest. That's where we want to put the panels, so we can collect as much sun as possible. The fewer panels I have to put on your house that get more sunlight, the more power I can produce on a smaller system, which means the return off of the investment you're making is going to be much faster than me putting them on, like, a north side of the house facing away from the sun.
So what I understand, there's satellite reports, there's sun reports that we do on people's homes, so we can actually see where most of the sun concentration is going to be on that roof.
Yeah,
we want to put those panels there so that they can actually capture as much energy as possible.
Absolutely. And people can do this themselves if they want to, go on Google, and Google actually has a program, they call it Project Sunroof. So if you just go and type in Project Sunroof, you can pull up the Google website where we get some of our sun data from, and it's just a rendering of the house, and your house will be orange to purple, or like a bright yellow to purple. The brighter yellow it is, the more sun you get. The darker purple it is, the less sun that roof section gets. And you can see the solar exposure for your home.
Right.
And we're using a lot of that data.
Have you seen any roofs out there that have zero solar exposure?
Only when they're completely covered by trees.
Right.
So if you guys have, your house is completely inundated by trees and there's not a single beam of sun hitting your house, we might need to talk about, like, tree removal and trimming and stuff to make your home ready for solar. But for the most part, like everyone, trees aren't the biggest issue here in Houston, like they are in the Northeast.
Right.
You have a lot of sun. Even the smallest little section of roof that has sun exposure is getting a lot of sun. Like we're in like one of the hottest parts in the country, and there's a lot of sun, high UV index, and longer days in this part of the country than there are like up north. So homes here are able to produce a lot of energy off a very, very small amount of panels, and that's going to, like, again, reflect on return on investment. The idea, like, total cost of a solar system or total value of the system usually ends up, if you were to pay your utility bill for 10 years with the average rate of utility escalation being at 4%, so your utility bill monthly is going up by about 4% a year. It's your return on investment when you're looking apples to apples, dollars spent to the utility company versus dollars in value to the solar array. Your ROI is somewhere around 10 to 12 years on an average system, sometimes even less if we have a really good south-facing array. Factored into that also, like, is going to be your incentive from the federal government. So
yes, the federal tax incentive. Guys, and listen, the government right now, they are very happy to assist you. They're very happy to us. As a matter of fact, they're throwing money at you to get you to go green. So right now is a great time to do that. And those tax incentives, if I understand correct, they're going out, right? They're on their way out.
Yep.
I believe in 2021.
Yep.
No more tax incentives, right?
Correct.
Ryan?
Yep. Scheduled to be gone by 2021. Now, hopefully, we see a renewal of those. And regardless, politically where you stand, we hope to see a renewal of those.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that people also need to keep in mind is that when we're looking at when the U.S. government is incentivizing us to get solar power, we probably need to take a step back and ask why.
Right. Exactly.
There's a reason why.
Right.
And one of the things that that I believe is, if you have those incentives, let's take advantage of them while they're here.
Absolutely. Again, guys, the government is trying to help you to go green. You get equity in your home. You get a steady bill you can count on every single month. There's no variation. There's no up and down. And you're doing the right thing for the environment. So, if you own your home, I truly believe you should be looking at renewable energy and solar as an alternative. Now, one thing I want to talk about too, because when we're out there in the field and we're discussing this with the customers, is when we start talking offset, they don't understand what that means. I'm like, listen, you can do 100% offset, or you can do 50, 60. It's your choice. But my philosophy is this: if, like what you said, Jeremy, if we'll all just do our part. Just do a little bit. If you don't want 100% offset, that's fine. If you want 50% offset, you want 50% of your energy you're going to own one day, that's a beautiful thing. So let's talk a little bit about offset and how that works and what does that mean to the customer.
So like how we're going to measure this is, so with a kilowatt hour. So we talked a little bit about that before, but a kilowatt hour is just a unit of measurement. That's all it is, just like a gallon of gas, or on a ruler there's an inch. So we know how big that is, so we can quantify that. That's all a kilowatt hour is. So you, as a homeowner, use so many kilowatt hours a year. My job with putting solar on your house is try to get you as close to 100% of your consumption being produced by the solar array. So that's what we talk about offset. How much of your total consumption can I offset by producing power from solar panels? Sometimes I can get to 100%, sometimes I can't. It either comes down to available roof space, or shading, or quality of roof. I might have to put stuff in certain places. So think of it like, if you can't get to 100% offset, my goal, and everyone's goal should be to get to 100%.
Absolutely.
If you can't, that doesn't mean that you don't go solar. You think of it like, if I had a gas station I owned, you're a friend of mine, and I'm like, look, come fill up half a tank. I can get you to 50% offset with solar. I'm saying, come get half a tank of gas for 50 cents a gallon. You're getting a reduced cost in your gas, but then you've got to go to Stripes and top off at whatever full price is. Even though you got to make 2 stops to get that gas,
you're still saving money.
You're still saving
Absolutely.
money. And that's the way it works with solar. Even though you're getting your power from 2 different places, generating the power on site at a significantly reduced cost versus getting it from the power companies, you're still going to save money.
Yeah.
and you're still going to help the environment. And who knows, maybe your usage will change. You'll have, maybe you have, high school kids in the house and they're about to move out and go to college. Your consumption's going to go down.
We had a gentleman that we were working with last weekend. Remember, his daughter came back from college. Came back, so he actually started using more energy.
Correct.
And he wanted to make sure that power was covered as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a great job of covering his consumption for him. We gave him 100% offset. And I like that. My philosophy is this. Do a little.
Right.
Do a little. And grow from there.
Yep.
Like you said, 20%, 30% offset. And there's a lot of moving parts there. Your roof may not be big enough.
Yep.
You may not be getting enough sun on your roof. So there's a lot of variables there
Correct.
that need to be considered when you're actually looking at taking on your power and controlling your power, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people just look at their roof, or they can go on, there's a couple of websites out there you guys could go to, and you'll be able to I can drag and drop and look what it would look like on my house. It's important to have a guy come to your house, someone that's a professional in this, sit down from a reputable company you talk to, and actually walk you through this and guide you through this, and can hear your concerns. The computer can't work with you and try to move stuff around and help you find a way to find the right fit for your home. So I think that getting educated, by someone, sitting at a kitchen table and really kind of moving this stuff around and finding what's best fit for your home when you're looking at, value add to the house and return on investment.
Absolutely.
And all it's best to, there's a human part of this.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. So let's interact with that human part of us.
I like the fact that, again, we're educators.
Yeah.
And the great thing that we do is we go into the home and we show the customer options.
Correct.
Options that can be moved around to fit their need properly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about it. Not only will we come in, we're going to show you exactly what the panels are going to look like on your house.
Yeah.
We're going to show you exactly how much energy is covered there. And that's an interactive relationship, because as we're talking to the customer,
Correct.
They get to tell us, hey, you know what? Can I offset that a little bit more? Or, yeah, I want to go 100%, or I want to go a little bit less. So, what I love about what we do is we go in the home and we educate people on solar and what it means to them individually and what it means to them collectively as a family and also as a community. So I love that, that we're not selling people things. We're just educating them on it, and they make their own decisions.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people that we talk to, they buy solar from us because it's just the right thing to do. It's just smart. It's just smart.
Correct.
Now, Ryan, you have 2 homes.
Mm-hmm.
Solar
Yep.
on your homes.
Yep. And
Why did you do that, sir?
well, and the nice thing is, the one home that I bought,
Yeah.
I bought the home because there was solar panels on the roof.
Yes. And we're finding now that people are more attracted
Mhm.
to smart homes that are energy dependent. So if you're looking to sell your house, it's smart to put solar on your house, because what happens? You increase in equity, and the consumer is looking for that type of home because they want to own their own power. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get back, guys. Once again, we've got to take a break. Stay with us. Don't turn the dial. Don't turn away. You want to know about this. If you are on this planet and you're dealing with energy in your home, you definitely want to know about this so that you can make the right decisions for your home and the right decisions for our environment as well. This is the Tony Talk Show, and we'll be right back. Hang out with us, guys.
This is former Rocket Robert Reed,
This is Mel Jewell of Athlete United.
and we want to talk to you about our new program and podcast. We're talking about former athletes who are doing a lot of things in the community.
Various athletes in various sports: swimming, track, soccer, football, baseball, you name it.
Former and current athletes here in the greater Houston area.
All promoting wellness, health, all promoting that which makes us all better.
Of Edge Radio, truth still matters.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to the Tony Talk Show, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're talking to Ryan Jaime, and we're talking to Jeremy Odell, and we're talking about renewable energy. This is coming, and I'm so glad we're on the leading edge of this. We're educators, and we want you to know what renewable energy means. We want you to know what solar energy means and the benefits of it for you to get involved and to own your own power. That's a beautiful thing, believe me. So when we were off air, we were actually talking about the benefits of solar and also all the tax incentives and the ROI. And I kind of want to talk to Ryan. Ryan's kind of been quiet here, but Ryan's a pretty sharp guy. And he's a businessman as well. And Ryan, would you just tell me, why did you get involved? Because I know you had other companies. Why did you get involved with solar? What was that thing that made you say, hey, you know what, I want to jump into this as well?
Yeah, so admittedly, I guess there is some level of silver lining with COVID, right?
Yeah.
Because,
absolutely.
I was in an industry that was booming, in
Yes.
the home security industry, home automation, smart homes,
Yes.
which is not far. We were doing smart homes and telling people that if they put in energy thermostats, smart thermostats, they can save money on the electric. And so when somebody introduced me to solar, I think it was a pretty smooth transition to go from smart homes.
It was the next step, next natural step, so to speak.
It was,
Yeah.
and if it weren't for the slowdown with COVID, I probably wouldn't have been afforded the opportunity to shift my attention to a new industry.
Right.
So if there ever is any silver lining, maybe there's a little, it allows people to look up and say, what do I want to do next?
Absolutely.
But I actually bought a home that had solar panels on it. And Tony, I want you to understand, I had no idea what solar panels were.
When you bought the home that had solar panels?
No, I mean, technically I knew there were these things up on my roof.
Right.
But my first thought was, I'm going to have to pay for my electric bill and solar panels.
Right. And that's the misunderstanding. A lot of people think when I get solar on my roof, I'm going to have two bills now.
Correct.
I'm going to have a bill for solar and I'm going to have a bill for my electric. And what they don't understand is you're really reallocating the money you're paying right now for electricity, the dirty energy. You're reallocating those dollars towards solar. And when we were in those folks' homes this weekend, when they seen that, they were like, whoa, hold on, Tony. What you're telling me is my electric bill is going to go away. I'm going to save money on that because what you just showed me here with solar, it's cheaper every month for me and my bill is fixed. And you're telling me this is the truth. I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just a reallocation of funds, right? And the attraction to you was, since you didn't know what solar, did you know that the panels were solar when you looked at the home?
Well, and what's funny, Tony, is when I bought the house, nobody sold me on the value that I just had purchased a home that had panels on it.
No
had
way,
the
right?
agent or
Right.
the homeowner, when I was 2 months into owning my home, and I finally called the homeowner. I said, "Hey, who's my electric through? I'm not getting a bill." And he said,
like, congratulations, you bought an energy efficient home. You own your own power, no bill, brother.
Yeah, he said to me, "Hey, high five." And I said, "What do you mean high five?"
Right.
I have 4 roommates that live with me.
Right.
And we consume a ton of energy, and I don't have an electric bill. I couldn't believe it. So I called him, and he said, "Yeah, you have solar panels." I said, "Well, when do I make my payment?" He said,
You don't.
You don't. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So believe it or not, my introduction to solar was on accident.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was the universe sprinkling that little,
Yeah, well,
here's where you're going, Ryan. You just don't know yet.
You and I know nothing happened.
Nothing happens by chance. Again, the COVID thing, in this moment, and guys, I want to tell you this, in this moment, It's a time to pivot. You know, when COVID showed up, it was a time to pivot. You know, I had a very extensive background in fitness and wellness for 35 years. That's what I was doing. I had a passion for it, still do. But when COVID happened, I'm sitting on my couch, Ryan, and my spirit said, pick up the phone and call the guy that you met at the gym like 5 months ago, right? I didn't have his number in the phone. I didn't have him programmed in my phone by name. So I had to scroll through and find that text message. So it took me about 3 days to find the message because I have so many messages. So I finally came across the message, called him up. We ended up meeting. He told me about solar, told me about the industry. I did a little bit of research. And I've always believed in taking care of the environment. I am a tree hugger. I'm sorry. My wife's a vegetarian. That's just who we are as people. We conserve energy. We believe we only should use what we need, and that's it. So that's just the kind of way we live our lives. And so the solar, like you, it was just the natural next step for me. And I got very passionate about it. So, you know, the great thing about what you just said is that, you know, are we finding in this space that homes are selling quicker with solar on them?
Well, yes, we are, and I'm going to have Jimmy talk about that in just a second.
Yes.
But I wanted to share one more thing.
Absolutely.
You asked me why I got into this space.
Yes, sir.
You know, Tony, it's interesting. For my whole life, I've been in sales. I love people. And I believe the most sincere way of serving people is to provide for them, like you said, all the knowledge you can and let people make a decision.
Absolutely.
You know, we believe in teaching the principles correctly, and then allow people to govern themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? But for the first time, I'm actually providing a service with someone that saves them money.
Yeah.
Usually, when I'm providing a service, I have to explain to them why they should add an additional bill to what they pay out on a monthly basis.
Yes.
Think about this, Tony.
Yes.
This is the first time in a very, very tough economy right now.
Yes, absolutely.
In a time where people are in a lot of pain, that I can go to them and say, hey, I think I can save you some money.
Yeah.
Tony, that means something to me.
It means a lot. It means a lot because you know what? That money can be reallocated towards their home or whatever they decide to do with that money. So I agree with you 100%. You know, I always tell people this. My job is to tell you the truth. Your job is to make a decision. Right. If it's right for you or wrong for you. I don't get caught up in all that. Yep. You understand your household. You understand what you're looking for. My job is to tell you the truth about whatever you're asking me of. And your job is to make a decision. So with the solar, man, you know, it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's like, I don't understand people that don't get involved in it.
Yeah.
And for a couple reasons is, you know, I have a couple businesses. I own my home. At the end of the day, I like fixed expenses. I like predictable things. I like things that, you know, I know what my car payment's going to be every month. I know what my rent's going to be where I live at. I know what my insurance is going to be every month. It doesn't change, you know what I mean? And to have a bill, an electric bill, something that I need power. At the end of the day, I need it. So to have a bill that is stable, predictable over a course of time, and then eventually I'm off. Is your home, are you part of the net metering program as well?
I am. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
I want the consumers to understand the net metering and how that all works.
My favorite way of explaining it is, if you remember, on a quick other thought,
right?
In 2002, I went away for a couple of years, and when I came back, went on some mission trips with my church.
Yes, sir.
And when I came, and I remember my mom and dad saying, "I'll never use a cell phone." They were late adopters. They said, I'll never use a cell phone. I came back in 2004.
They had cell phones.
They had cell phones.
Social media and the whole nine, doing all of it.
Exactly. And so when you talk about people, you know, you don't understand how people are not, you know, jumping all over this. Really, what we're seeing is a little bit of a late adoption.
Yeah, it's a slow grow. It's something new. Change is always something that's hard for people to deal with as humans. Yep. For some reason. And what they don't understand is that, you know, we are submerged in an energy of change. Everything changes. Everything changes. So to be able to embrace that, you can move through life much quicker versus resisting things.
Correct.
And again, I truly believe, I mean, Jeremy, you're the expert. I believe solar's here to stay. And I think it's going to get better and better and better for everyone.
Yeah. So everyone always wondered, like, especially like in newer markets like Houston, we've only really been like doing solar for really like in full tilt for like maybe the last 6 to 8 months. It hasn't even been a year of like driving hard in a market like this, where in a place like California, you cannot build a home there without solar on it. It is illegal. They have a law.
And you know what's so crazy is that a couple of years ago, California had the largest carbon footprint.
Oh, 100%.
And you know who does now? Do you know who does now?
No, not
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Probably.
And Houston is number one in the state.
Wow.
And that's why Mayor Turner has come out and said, hey, listen, here's what he's trying to do. He's created an initiative and actually started July 1 of this year where he wants Houston to be 100% renewable energy by 2035. So the mayor of the city has seen the benefit of this, and he's trying to move that direction.
Absolutely.
So I am very happy to be in line with that and be behind that and trying to help our communities to get better and get healthier.
Yeah. It's cool to have the local like authorities and the local government behind us and really like pushing to make the communities better. But I mean, believe it or not, even our federal government, like the White House has had panels on it since like I think 1973.
And I did not even know that until you told me that, Jamie.
Yeah, they're the same panels. They haven't been changed out. They're the same panels that were put on in the 70s. Everyone is like, oh well, is this only going to last like a year? What if it's not going to work for very long? Like the same panels, they're like 100-watt panels, and we're using like 400-watt panels now. These same panels are still producing like 85% efficiently. We're talking like 40-something years later, almost 50 years later, and it's still like if the White House goes on lockdown, like so with COVID and all this stuff happening when the big outbreak happened in DC. Everyone went down into a bunker. We didn't know what we know now about it. We were still discovering stuff. So they moved people down into a bunker because they didn't know if this was a weaponized virus, if it was natural. Like it was still under speculation.
Absolutely.
So when that happened, they actually shut down the generators because they didn't want to be pumping oxygen in through those generators.
Wow.
And they went 100% off of solar.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how they were producing power in the White House when it was on lockdown here for that week when the first outbreak of COVID happened earlier this year.
There we go. The government knowing things we don't know and doing things ahead of us, right?
Yeah. Now we know what we know, and COVID's a natural virus. It's going to probably be part of our lives for a long time. So
let's talk. If I put that glass up on the roof, and that's the way we talk about putting glass on the roof. What are my protections? I mean, how long is that going to last? Do I have to change out those solar panels every year? What is the deal, man?
Yeah. So these things are built to last. Like they're made to be outside in the environment. I always get questions about hail and the weather and stuff like that. Like these things are built to be outside. They're built to get beat up, and so they have a performance warranty on them from the manufacturer, just like you get with your car. Like, hey, if anything messes up on it within this many miles, we're fixing it, period.
Right.
You still get, the things on your car like, oh, there's a recall. You don't have to pay for that recall. You go take it in, it gets fixed, and you get it back. These things have a performance warranty on them that they'll be free of defects and work at their highest efficiency for 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So so
if anything happened to my panels, you put them up on my roof, anything happens within the 25 years outside of me going up there with a hammer,
correct,
and destroying them myself. I'm going to be covered.
And sockets and silly stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're covered. And think about it. I mean, most people's mortgages are 30 years. Like we're talking the lifetime you're going to live in this house. These things are covered for. You can't really say that about anything else that you're gonna purchase for your home, your refrigerator, your TV, your AC unit, even your roof.
So what is the benefit? Okay, so you said, if you're going to stay in that home that long, what if I don't? What if I'm only going to stay in my home for another 10 or 15 years?
Yeah.
And then when my kids get out of the house, we're going to downsize, move away, or whatever the case may be. What happens there? Do I lose that investment? Do I take my panels with me? What do we do there?
Yeah, so it's 100% transferable, all the warranties and the savings. So like if you decide, hey, I'm not paying cash or any of that, you just want to pay your monthly, which is cheaper than your electric bill. You can transfer it two ways. You could either, the new homeowner moving in can then assume the monthly payment, and that's their new electric bill. Or you build it into the value of the house. Say your house is worth $100,000, easy math for me, but and you have $20,000 left worth of solar, on the agreement to pay off. Cool. You're listing your house for $120,000. And then Zillow, UC Berkeley, Forbes did a study, and it was published in the New York Times. The average value increase to the home in the United States is 4%. Some places up to 10%, but the average was 4%. So add another 4% on top of that. Cool. You're now, instead of selling your house for $100,000, you're now listing your house for $124,000, and the new person moving in has a $0 utility bill, just like Ryan is. He moves in, doesn't have a bill.
Yeah, where's my bill? I've
Right.
been here for 3 months. I've got a bill.
Exactly.
Right.
And you made a little bit of, there was equity built in the home. The home's also going to sell faster. The average house in the United States, with them, they looked at this during the study, sells anywhere between 17 to 25% faster, depending on what the market's doing, than the exact same model house without solar.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at like, crap, I got to pay this listing fee for the next, up to 90 days, and that it accrues every day, and you're like, crap, I don't want to pay this. The speed at which your house sells is also super important when looking at it, not just how much you're selling it for, but how fast.
Yeah, because the longer it's on the market, then you've got to kind of start doing this. Right? You've got to start chipping away at the price and what you're asking for.
Yep.
So it's a good thing if it's selling quicker.
Yes.
And not only that, the benefit is the beautiful thing is you're selling your home to someone and you're gifting them free energy. I mean, to me, it's it's a wonderful thing in my opinion. So
the 70% of first-time home buyers are looking for houses with renewable energy options. So guys like me, I haven't purchased my first home yet. I've been on the move a lot, and
I've seen that house that you're getting ready to purchase. You're going to need a lot of panels, buddy.
That
house is humongous.
That's something that I'm doing.
Yes.
So, and then I'm looking at.
Well, me and my wife, when we, of course, we're leasing right now. We're not for sure where we're going to live at yet. What part of Houston, or if we're going to stay in Houston, we're not sure yet. There's a lot of moving parts right now, but we are going to build our home with solar in mind. I mean, that's just the way we're going to build it. So it's not even a second thought. We'll put it right in. We'll wrap it right into our mortgage and everything. So we'll have an energy efficient home. And we even found out, and when we did some research, that what is it? I always get them backwards. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, correct?
Yep.
The mortgage underwriters, the big mortgage underwriters, they're actually looking for homes with solar on them. I mean, they're more inclined to purchase those homes that have solar on them. So again, the industry is shifting that direction, and it's coming.
It's less risky. They know the value's there, and they're planning for long term. Even though we're still kind of like only as far as like market penetration. How far has solar gotten in the U.S. market? We're only like 8%, and like most of the United States, most people, especially like in the Midwest or even more rural parts of Texas, don't even know this is an option.
I know, and in those certain areas where there's no deregulation, which we found right here in Houston.
Yeah,
I think there's areas in Houston, pockets of Houston, where there's no deregulation.
Yeah. Austin and San Antonio,
and that's crazy. So now we actually give people options.
Yeah.
When they didn't have an option before.
Right.
Which is wonderful. So again, trying to help that consumer to become empowered, if you will, to take their energy, take control of their energy, and make money of it. I want to talk about the money-making aspects of that. And you said your home is involved in the net metering program?
Correct.
How does that work for you, Ryan?
Yeah,
what is that all about, bud?
The best way to explain it is I think of like AT&T, how they used to have the rollover minutes. And with net metering, basically what happens is we actually work in conjunction with the existing power company. I know people think the power company probably would hate us for coming in and stealing the customer, but the truth is because of some of these government mandates, the power company really has to work with us to make sure there's a smooth transition.
Right.
So we do have your existing utility company does come in and install what's called a net meter. And that net meter is going to be close to the meter that's on the side of your house. If you guys, those of you guys that are watching or listening, you probably know where your meter is on the right or the left or the back side of the home. Well, we install what's called a net meter. And when we put those panels up on your roof, there's going to be some months where you create more energy than you consume.
Absolutely.
And in the situation in which you create more energy than what you consume, we actually want to share that energy back through the grid that is owned by the power company. And it's like, think of it like a bank. The other people can come in and borrow that energy. And then there's going to be some months where maybe you don't create as much energy as you consume, and you need to actually reuse that energy, pulling it back and forth from the grid.
So that net metering program kind of measures and manages the energy that I'm pulling from the grid and the energy I'm putting back to the grid.
That's correct.
And my goal as a solar owner, I want to make sure I'm banking energy back to the grid. And that goes back to what we were talking about, making sure that we have that 100% offset.
Correct.
Because if you're not 100% offset, then most likely you're not going to be banking energy back to the grid, correct?
Yeah, and I think my biggest concern is when you start talking about this energy going back and forth from the grid. As a novice, as a homeowner, I was thinking, well, man, am I going to have to be managing this power? Is there a button that I'm going to have to push, or a lever that I'm going to have to manage it back and forth? And the short answer is no. So, your lights are not flickering when you're using more or less energy.
Okay.
There's no management. That's all being managed by the.
So that's seamless. That's it's a on and done type thing. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to manage it.
We don't feel it as homeowners.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So if I'm a homeowner now, question: how do you know how much energy you've banked back to the grid? I mean, I'd want to know that.
Yep.
As a consumer, I'd want to know, okay, I've got X amount of kilowatts that I can use whenever I need it.
Correct.
How do you know that? Do you get a report or something from your
energy?
How does that work?
So depending on what inverter you use, and I know we're introducing a new word to the conversation, inverter.
Right.
But depending on what inverter, which is a piece of equipment that's used to manage the power, taking the power from DC to AC. And
so that's what the inverter does.
Correct.
It converts the energy from direct current to alternating current, so the home can use it. Correct. So when the sun's hitting the panels, the panels are actually creating direct current. Correct. The inverter transforms it to AC, alternating current that the home can use.
Yeah, okay. and then it allows you. Then you have a website that you can log into.
Okay.
And you can actually see the consumption patterns.
Mm-hmm. So I'd be able to look at the history of my consumption patterns, the history of what my solar panels are actually creating as far as the energy itself, so I can monitor what's going on my roof.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Why would you not want to? As a homeowner, I'd love to see that. I get to control my power, look at my power, see how much power I'm generating, see how much is going back to the grid.
Yep. The utility also keeps track of this too. So even if you have a $0 statement you're still going to have a statement from the utility company because it's still their meter on the side of the house. Even if it's for $0, there's going to be a box that pops up on it, and it'll say excess power, excess generation. It'll have a negative number next to it, and you can, the utility's tracking it too. They want to know how much power is going in and going out. So there's a lot of places you can look to see where your power is going and how much excess you've built up.
Excellent. Okay, so the customer can manage and look at that and see exactly what their home is producing, so to speak. Now, question. I get solar on my home. Do I have to switch the energy company that I'm with?
No, absolutely not. You stay with the provider you're with right now.
All providers, are they all part of the net metering program, or how does that work? I've got
So in Houston, it's a little different because you got third-party generation companies. Reliant, TXU, name one. There's a million of them. There's only 2 or 3 big companies that own the grid out here, and that's the company we're working with. The ones that are we're submitting our paperwork and stuff to is the ones that own the actual power lines, and those are the ones because we're transferring power back and forth through those lines.
Right.
So we were CenterPoint, Encore, and then TXU owns a little part of the grid. So those 3 are the ones we're submitting. It's called interconnection paperwork for. So interconnection application. So we literally interconnect the system into the grid, and they want to know when we're doing that and what house we're doing that with. So they can see that and help manage that, and they know how much power is going back and forth between the grid. But it doesn't matter who your energy provider is. The company who owns the grid, Encore and CenterPoint, which is the 2 big ones here in Houston, they're the ones that we're working with, and they're the ones that know what's going on.
Excellent. So we're working with the larger companies and communications with them, in harmony with them, to make sure that it all gets delivered to the customer correctly. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break, guys. Okay. My guy said, no, we're not taking a break. It's end of the show. So one more thing real quick is if someone wants to get in contact with us, we definitely want them to call us so we can come in and educate them in their home, right? So for all the listeners and viewers out there, if you want to contact me directly, I would love to talk with you about solar power. I would love to talk to you about renewable energy and how to own your own power and get off the grid and get an ROI and also get the equity to your home properly. I can be reached at 832-510-7945. That number again is 832-510-7945. Now just know this, when you call me, I'm going to tell you the truth. My goal is to educate you so you can make the best decisions for yourself and for your home. At the end of the day, that's what we do. We educate you and empower you to take control of your own energy and to get off the grid. So I would like to thank Ryan Jaime for Ryan. Where are you from?
Bay City, Michigan.
And he's down here in Houston. When do you leave again?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here and supporting us in Houston. And Jeremy Odell, you're from Florida. And when do you leave again, sir?
On Monday.
But Jeremy's coming back to stay with us for a while, which we're super excited to have him in our wheelhouse. He's a ton. He's got a ton of information. And again, I consider him an expert in this space, and he's here to help us to help Houston. So once again, guys, I thank you so much for being part of the Tony Talk Show. Stick with us because, again, our job is to tell you the truth. Your job is to make a decision. Live healthy, and God bless.